Welcome back to the deep dive. You know how this works. We dig through the research, the articles, and all the data you send our way, and we pull out the insights that really matter. Today, we're looking at something pretty much inevitable, the collision of artificial intelligence with, let's be honest, a huge bottleneck in corporate life. Learning and development, I mean, every company is obsessed with growth and scaling talent, but L&D, it's traditionally been so slow.
Hmm.
These one-size-fits-all training programs, they just can't keep up. But the sources we have today are suggesting that AI isn't just tweaking L&D, it's completely rewriting the rules, turning it into a real engine for growth. Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission today is to figure out exactly how companies can use AI for one specific thing, getting their teams up to speed and fast. So we're looking at how learning paths are built, how skill gaps are found, and how you even measure if any of it is working.
And what's really fascinating in the material is that this isn't just about a small improvement. It's a total system overhaul. L&D has always been stuck, right? You could have generic training for everyone at scale, or you could customize it, but that was impossible to scale. AI just breaks that trade-off. Suddenly, you can have deeply personal, individualized training and really sophisticated measurement all at the same time for thousands of people. That's the core change that makes rapid skill growth possible.
That idea right there, individualization at a massive scale, that has to be where we start. For years, corporate training meant everyone sits through the same module, whether you're a total beginner or, the person who could have taught the course. The sources are pretty clear that the number one accelerator is enabling truly personalized learning. And they point to two big things driving this. The first one seems obvious, but it's revolutionary when you see it in action. The AI builds these unique custom learning paths for each person. So instead of a straight line, the AI looks at what an employee already knows, maybe from a test or maybe from their past work, and it cuts out all the stuff they've already mastered.
Exactly. And this gets rid of what some people call cognitive drag. Just think about the wasted time, the mental energy, when a senior developer has to click through basic concepts they learned years ago,
Hmm.
all to get to one tiny new piece of information they actually need. By tailoring that path, the learner spends literally zero time on redundant information. Their time to mastery just shrinks.
Okay, so that's one piece. What's the other?
The second component is where it gets really smart, the AI tutors. And the sources were very specific here. This is not just some chatbot answering questions. The AI tutor is an active dialogue partner. It guides you. It can tell when you're getting stuck on something, not because you failed a quiz, but by looking at your responses, how you're engaging, even the pace you're moving at.
Wait, hold on. How is that different from just, a really well-designed interactive course? What makes the AI tutor an accelerator?
It's the real-time adaptation. The tutor doesn't just give you the content. It might rewrite an explanation on the fly or give you a different example. It might even suggest a totally different way to learn something, like a simulation instead of a text. The second it sees you're confused,
Mm-hmm.
but it keeps you in that perfect learning zone, that sweet spot. You're challenged, but not frustrated. According to the sources, this alone can shave days, even weeks, off the learning curve compared to a standard course.
Okay, so personalization fixes the content. It's about what we learn. But that brings up the next big question. How do you even know what the company needs people to learn in the first place? This is where we move from fixing problems we know about to finding the ones we don't. Here's where it gets really interesting. We get into the predictive power of all this.
Absolutely. The sources really paint a picture of L&D shifting from, a reactive department that puts out fires to a strategic one that looks ahead. Skill gap analysis used to be this huge manual process.
Right, like an annual review or a big survey that was out of date the minute you finished it.
Exactly. The sources say AI changes that because the analysis is two things.
Mhm.
It's fully automated, and critically, it's continuously updated.
So tell me more about the automation part. What data is the AI looking at to find these gaps? It can't just be test scores.
No, and that's the real depth here. The AI pulls in all these data streams that were just too messy to connect before. Think about it. Sales data, customer service resolution times, error rates on a factory floor, how efficient a software team is. It can take all of that and correlate it back to the training people have had and the skills they're supposed to have. It's building this live, real-time map of what your organization actually knows how to do.
A live map.
A live map that is always being updated. And that's crucial for accelerated development. The old way, you'd find a gap, build a course, roll it out, and by the time people learned the skill, the business need had already changed. You were always a step behind. Now, the AI might detect that, say, a team's proficiency in a new compliance rule is softening slightly. It can then proactively push the exact training needed before it becomes a real problem. It's like a diagnostic that's always running.
That's the difference between waiting for a machine to break down versus a system that warns you about a tiny pressure change weeks ahead of time.
Precisely. If you can see a skill shortage coming, you can make sure your growth isn't suddenly stopped dead in its tracks by a talent gap.
Okay, so we know what to learn and who needs to learn it. That gets you part of the way there. But the next piece is making sure the learning itself doesn't just grind all the actual work to a halt. So now we have to talk about how and when this training gets delivered.
This is where it all comes together. You take the personalized content and the continuous diagnosis, and you merge them with these incredibly efficient delivery methods. The sources we looked at focus on how AI supercharges two formats that are already pretty powerful: microlearning and just-in-time training.
Microlearning sub breaking big topics into tiny little digestible pieces, right? A 2-minute video, a quick checklist.
Exactly. But AI doesn't just chop up the content. It helps ensure each little piece is a perfect, self-contained, and effective module.
So you've got the perfect little nugget of information. How does AI make sure it gets to you right at that moment of need? Because I feel like in the past, microlearning was a great idea, but I still had to remember to go search for the video on some internal site, and that just breaks your focus.
And that's where the just-in-time part is the other half of the equation. Just-in-time, or JIT, means delivering that knowledge at the precise moment you need it for a task. So imagine you're a salesperson using a new system. You get to a weird new field on a form, something about a new regulation. Instead of stopping, opening a new tab, searching the help center, the AI sees the context. It knows what you're doing on what screen, and it knows your skill profile, and just delivers that 90-second micro video explaining that exact field right there in your workflow.
Oh, that's smart.
The efficiency gain is huge. The sources are really clear on this. Your retention skyrockets because you're applying the information immediately to solve a real problem. And, maybe more importantly, you don't break your flow. You get the answer, you use it, you move on. This is probably the most practical way AI accelerates development, by weaving it right into the workday.
That really does cover the whole chain. Custom content, constant diagnosis, and hyper-efficient delivery. Which brings us to the final, and maybe the biggest, hurdle: proving that any of this actually worked. The age-old problem for L&D has always been proving its value, its ROI, and the sources seem to agree that the final piece of the puzzle is that measuring the impact is just, well, it's easier now with AI-powered analytics.
So what does this all mean? I mean, for a business leader, proving that training actually caused a performance improvement was always a nightmare. Did sales go up because of the training? Or was it a change in the market?
Yeah.
Or a new manager? It was mostly guesswork.
Right, it was all correlation, not causation.
Exactly. AI changes the game. Because the system is tracking everything, the personalized path, the skill gaps it found, the JIT moments, it can provide really granular quantitative proof. The analytics can show, for instance, that one group's time to competency was 30% faster than another's. It can draw a direct line between finishing a compliance module and seeing fewer errors in audits. It can track if people who got JIT support make fewer mistakes over the next 6 months.
That's incredibly powerful. You go from saying, we think the training helped, to this training module cost X, and it led to a Y% drop in costly errors in the third quarter.
Yes, that's it. This ease of measurement is what finally turns L&D from a cost center into a strategic data-backed investment. It lets you constantly tweak your strategy to double down on what's working and cut what isn't. The whole function becomes data-driven, and you have the proof you need to keep investing in that accelerated growth.
This has really been a complete tour of, well, the new playbook for corporate development. To sum it all up, AI accelerates team growth by making learning personal with custom paths and AI tutors. It automates skill gap analysis so it's continuous and proactive. It supercharges delivery with things like microlearning and just-in-time support. And then it gives you the analytics to actually prove it all worked.
It really creates this self-improving loop where your workforce is just always getting better, always ready for what's next. And this brings us to the final thought we want to leave you with. Given that AI now makes it easy to continuously measure the impact of L&D, the whole challenge shifts. The problem is no longer how to collect the data. The AI does that. The new strategic question is, what are you measuring? Are you making sure your AI analytics are actually tracking the performance indicators that matter to the business? Are you measuring things that genuinely lead to accelerated team success? Or are you just measuring, course completions? That distinction between optimizing the learning and optimizing the human output, that's the new puzzle to solve.
A lot to think about there as you focus on high velocity growth. Thanks for joining us for the deep dive. We'll catch you next time.